Lewis said to me from the beginning was he had never seen a film capture what it really feels like to be in one of these cars. Even he said the broadcast doesn't get it. He was always frustrated with the broadcast because it's like that's not how it feels to drive one of these cars. The one piece of footage that we both agreed did work was that amazing over the shoulder of Ayrton Senna at Monaco. In the early 90s, like the speed and the violence of that clip was the one piece of footage that he could point at and say that got it. What's going on mentally during a race? You know, when Lewis described to me that he's changing the brake bias and the differential settings depending on what corner he's going to every turn, like that level of precision and control and what's going on, you know, in terms of strategy and understanding the whole race. How he uses his ears to understand how close he is to the wall or how far a car is behind him. Like, it's phenomenal what they do, and hopefully we were able to capture a piece of that in this film. And what we found is, you know, even people who know nothing about racing or have no interest in motorsports, they're having a great time and learning something. And even, you know, we've had people that when they first heard they were going to see a Formula One movie, wanted to walk out, and after they saw the movie, they wanted to go see a race. So that was really encouraging. Hi, this is Joseph Kosinski, and this is Cars and Culture with Jason Stein.
We're shifting into a different gear here with someone who's no stranger to big ideas, high speeds, cinematic innovation. He's bringing us something that we've never seen before. And he has turned the global spectacle of Formula One into a living, breathing, cinematic event. I was honored to see it last night. Joseph, welcome to the program. Thank you for being on Cars and Culture.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about it.
Congratulations, by the way. I mean...
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, it's been a 4-year labor of love to get here, from kind of the initial idea to you know, our world premiere last night at Radio City Music Hall. You know, 4,200 people, IMAX screen. It was quite a time. It was really cool.
Well, I know obviously you spend a lot of time in post-production and production filming. What's that moment like for you when you have 4,200 other sets of eyeballs in the room watching what you've done?
It's hard to describe. You know, it's kind of like it's like a wedding. You know, when you get married and it's this kind of whirlwind. You somehow manage never to get a bite to eat over the course of the whole day because you're so busy. But yeah, to watch the film, you know, I really just watch the audience because I've seen, you know, the movie 1,000 times at this point in finishing it. It's fun to just watch the audience and see how they react to the film, and celebrate. Really, just celebrate with my cast and crew, and I'm just so proud of because I know how much work it was, you know, to put this on the big screen.
Did anything surprise you about the audience's reaction?
You know, the thing that always surprises me is the laughter, because, you know, the jokes, the humor is something that, you know, it's in the script and you read it and you refine it and then you shoot it 15 times and then you're staring at the edit for years. So that kind of gets lost to yourself as you're making the film. So when people are experiencing that line or that moment for the first time and they react to it, it is that thing that kind of surprises you as a director, and it's a nice surprise. It's good, and it tells you that the audience is locked in, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, there was plenty of laughter. I noticed last night. Actually, it was interesting to see. I shared the same sentiment with you. Let's go back to the first time the idea clicked for you. I know it was all kind of built around the phenomena, Joseph, that has driven Formula One in this country, which is Drive to Survive. And for you, it was all about the human stories, the teams that maybe were at the back of the grid, not necessarily winning, but surviving. And that dynamic felt like a movie, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what was interesting to me is, you know, when you're watching the Formula One races to weekend, the focus is on, you know, who's at the lead, who's winning, who's in contention for the championship. But that first season of Drive to Survive was about the teams that go out and lose every weekend. You know, the rookie drivers who have spent their whole life trying to desperate to get into Formula One. They finally get a shot, and then they're in a car that just can't compete. You know, how do they prove that they belong to be here? So that to me was the way in, was the story of a last place team, an underdog story, and I thought was, you know, an interesting place to start. And I was also fascinated, you know, what makes Formula One unique is it's the only sport I can think of where your teammate is also your greatest rival.
Right.
And that conflict, you know, conflict is drama. And again, another concept that I wanted to put at the center of the story.
So you were enamored with the notion that there were great storylines out there with Formula One, but what got you to email Lewis Hamilton and say, "What do you think?"
Well, I was lucky that I had his contact info. He was actually the only person I knew in Formula One, which is pretty amazing. And the story behind that is, you know, Lewis actually wanted, you know, he's got many interests outside Formula One racing, I think, as most people know. And one of those is filmmaking. So he had gotten my phone number from Tom Cruise while I was prepping Top Gun Maverick, and reached out to me and said, you know, asked if it was possible if he could try out for one of the pilots in Top Gun Maverick.
Really?
Yes, which I was certainly open to, but I was gonna, you know, make him go through the same audition process that any actor would do, which would mean putting yourself on tape. You know, I'd send a scene and he'd have to put himself on tape, and we talked about, you know, the time commitment and the process. And once Lewis realized how many months we were going to be shooting and that it was going to kind of overlap with the Formula One season, he realized it just wasn't going to be possible. But the way that he approached it, the kind of, he was very humble about it and very curious and wanting to learn more. That really stuck with me. So when I had this idea of trying to craft a story in this world, I knew that if I made it, I'd want to make it in the most authentic way possible. And I thought, well, if I can get Lewis to be my producing partner on it, he can teach me about the world of Formula One as a person who lives every day, and maybe I can kind of teach him a little bit about the world of filmmaking. And luckily for me, that's how he saw it as well, and he agreed to partner up on it, and that's kind of where this all started.
And it created a bit of a seamless, symbiotic relationship, didn't it? Because he could teach you downshifts that were appropriate in certain turns.
Yep.
You could teach him, well, if we position this new camera that we have called the Carmen, a sensor on a stick, that
Yep.
on the car, then we can catch what you're actually doing in the vehicle. So both parties were mutually beneficial here, weren't they?
It was an amazing partnership, and the perfect one for this movie. You know, what Lewis said to me from the beginning was he had never seen a film capture what it really feels like to be in one of these cars. Even he said the broadcast doesn't get it. He was always frustrated with the broadcast because it's like, that's not how it feels to drive one of these cars. The one piece of footage that we both agreed did work was that amazing over the shoulder of Ayrton Senna at Monaco in the early 90s. Like the speed and the violence of that clip was the one piece of footage that he could point at and say that got it, you know. So that was the touchstone, and so the tools did not exist to capture that. So we had to build them ourselves, and that was a whole nother process of developing this Carmen camera system in collaboration with Sony, and working very closely with Mercedes F1, who built the cars for the film, and making a machine for shooting that incorporated both those into one object.
A Formula 2 vehicle, which could mirror and mimic the Formula 1 to a great extent.
Yeah, we bought the chassis from Dallara, the Formula 2 cars, shipped them to Mercedes, Formula 1, and then their engineers took that chassis, extended it 400 millimeters to more approximate the wheelbase of a Formula One car, and then redesigned all the bodywork to conform to the modern regulations, but at the same time be different enough that it would look like its own team on the grid. And then working inside the, there's very little storage space on one of these race cars, but we found little cavities of space under the radiators where we could put the recorders and the receivers and the batteries for this camera system. So that, and built in 16 mounts for the cameras into various positions on the car. So it really was a bespoke filming racing machine that is capable of obviously incredible performance, and something that Brad Pitt, Damson Idris had to train for months to actually drive on the track.
In terms of technicalities, Joseph, or the technical specifications required, if Top Gun Maverick was you tell me, an 8 out of 10 in terms of difficulty, was this a 9? Was this not as hard to do?
No, I'd say this was more difficult because every kilogram we added, slowed these things down. And an F-18 is designed to carry heavy things without affecting its performance, and 100 pounds or 150 pounds of camera gear on an F-18 is nothing, which is how we were able to shoot, Top Gun Maverick. This is a different story. I wanted these cars to perform like real race cars. So, shrinking that camera package down without sacrificing the IMAX quality that we needed to deliver was a huge R&D hurdle. And then I added another thing onto the mix. Was I told my cinematographer, Claudio Miranda, I wanted to be able to pan the camera, which means to move it left and right. I wanted to be able to control that motion while we were shooting, and that was something we couldn't do on Top Gun. So we developed a miniature motorized head that allows us to move the camera real time, and that way I can track with the on-track action and connect, Brad and Damson's face to their own point of view on the track, and that was another kind of big technical hurdle for us.
Well, you not only did that, but what amazed me, and for years I've been a Formula One fan, probably 10 years old, standing against the fence in Detroit watching Formula One races. You incorporated the cars into the actual race, or the practice sessions and the qualifying and I know that happened at Silverstone. It happened in numerous other locations. Try to describe for me how difficult that was, because I have to tell you that it looked as seamless could be from a cinematic standpoint.
Yeah, I think the goal with a movie like this is, with extreme effort, make it appear effortless. And there were a lot of different techniques that we did to pull that off. But yeah, a big part of that was, Formula One would give us these 10 or 15 minute windows on the track between practice sessions, before qualifying, where the stands are full of people. All the signage is up. You've got all the energy of a Formula One race, and we've got an open track. So we would send, 2 cars out at a time, 4 cameras mounted to each car. And, both Brad and Damson had to be ready to go and shoot their scenes with a full stadium of people watching, and hopefully not spin out in front of everyone,
right.
and get our scenes. And then during the race, the actual race, we would shoot the races, and we developed another camera that fit in the broadcast pod on the F1 cars, which is built in. Formula One let us take the broadcast camera out, and we were able to, working with Apple, develop an enhanced version of the iPhone camera that fit in that module and captured high quality imagery from the cars in the actual race. So we were able to work that footage in as well, and with a little Hollywood magic, make it look like the Apex team was on the grid.
Incredible. It was mind-blowing to me. And by the way, you're also at the mercy of schedules, weather, race officials. You've described it was like live theater with $1 million backdrop.
Yeah. It required us to change I've never shot a film this way. It required us to change all our methodologies. An actor's used to having, 10 or 15 takes, easy in a film. Now we might get 2 or 3 in this window of time, but with the cast that we have, I found everyone kind of rose to the occasion, and you can just feel that energy in the film, the immediacy of it, the energy of a Formula One race. That's what we were going for.
And not enough people talk about sound in filmmaking, but you made it feel like a Formula One race. You feel the car, you feel the whine, the crowd, the pit comms, everything. And your sound designer, Gareth John, you had mic'd every element of the car, hadn't you?
Yeah, we were able to get microphones actually on some of the real F1 cars during the practice and qualifying sessions. So we had a lightweight recording unit that we were able to mount on the cars and get the different characters of cars, the different power plants or power units that exist in the sport, and then working with the team at Skywalker Sound. We wanted to even make Sonny and Joshua's car, even though they're both in the film powered by Mercedes power units, we even were able to give them each a kind of distinct personality, so that when you're watching the film, you kind of you see that you're in a different car, but we also wanted you to feel like you're in a different car. But yeah, this was an 8-week sound mix for me, which is the most sound mixing I've ever done on a movie.
Wow. And let's go back to having the team involved with the other teams that were on the grid. You truly treated Apex, you created it from scratch, the team, the brand, the car, but you treated it like it was the 11th team on the grid. You worked with F1 engineers. Your garage sat next to the real teams. I remember going to a couple of races and there was an Apex garage that was there.
Yes.
Lewis Hamilton said it looked better than Mercedes, and I think Jackie Stewart said he hadn't seen a garage so good in 60 years.
Well, that's quite the compliment coming from those two legends. I guess I was inspired by the Mercedes garage. Toto Wolff is kind of notorious for, not allowing there to be like a scuff mark or a smudge anywhere in the garage. He boasts of having the cleanest bathrooms on the grid, so that sensibility, we certainly brought to the Apex garage, designed it in our own style. But, all the sponsors you see in our garage and on our car were real sponsors. I mean, we actually sold all the space on our car, which, helped us pay for this movie. So it was a pretty unique experience. Yeah, absolutely.
That's fascinating. What's the world of Formula One culture like? What is the culture of Formula One that you've come to appreciate in the last number of years?
Honestly, there's a lot of parallels to the world of filmmaking. Every person that I met in the sport is in it because they have a passion for racing. It's not about the money, it's not about the glamour. There is a love of racing among every single person on the team, from the team owner down to the pit crew mechanic. And it felt very much like a film crew. They go on the road 9 or 10 months out of the year. It's grueling work. It's exciting, but they're all there because they love it. And we certainly learned a lot from them, watching just how they operate. I think hopefully they learned a few tricks from us. The people on the broadcast team were eyeballing our camera positions and our moving cameras, and I could see them talk about how to work that into the broadcast. So it was an amazing partnership. And for me, an adventure, certainly, and really proud of what we accomplished together.
And Brad Pitt said that effectively this whole experience has had him appreciate all of the visceral, shocking things that drivers go through. Right? It is the G-forces. But you turned Brad Pitt into a race car driver.
We did. Luckily we started from a pretty amazing place. He already is a kind of a phenomenal athlete, but Lewis, that was one thing Lewis really impressed on me from the beginning, was the level of fitness that they have to drive one of these cars. It's unbelievable. Their heart rate is at a certain very high rate through the whole race. They're losing pounds of water, and then just the mental what's going on mentally during a race. You know, when Lewis described to me that he's changing the brake bias and the differential settings depending on what corner he's going to every turn, like that level of precision and control and what's going on, you know, in terms of strategy and understanding the whole race, how he uses his ears to understand how close he is to the wall or how far a car is behind him. Like, it's phenomenal what they do, and hopefully we were able to capture a piece of that in this film.
I know you've said before when, you know, going into the filming that number one, things had to be, you know, the environment had to be safe and it could never interfere with the integrity of the sporting competition. But pretty much, Joseph, everything else was on the table, right?
Yeah, you know, that's what I learned from Top Gun Maverick is never take no for an answer. Like we really were ambitious, and Formula One, you know, even things that seemed very unlikely at the beginning, like driving in the formation lap at Silverstone, we found a way to do it, and you know, all in an effort to give people. I really want to give people the experience of being in a Formula One car, which only 20 people get to do every weekend. So it's got to be one of the most elite sports that exists, and I wanted people to have that experience.
What do you hope audiences take away from the movie?
Well, the most important thing is they you know, are entertained, have an emotional experience, hear a great story or see a great story, fall in love with these characters, and you know, go on an adventure for 2.5 hours. That's the kind of movie I remember seeing as a kid on the big screen. It's what I tried to create here, and what we found is, you know, even people who know nothing about racing or have no interest in motorsports, they're having a great time and learning something, and even, you know, we've had people that when they first heard they were going to see a Formula One movie, wanted to walk out, and after they saw the movie, they wanted to go see a race. So that was really encouraging to me.
You just a couple of final things here. There are some amazing cameos in the film. There's a recreation of a press conference scene. A couple of team principals, Zach and Fred, are both there. Stefano Domenicali congratulates Sonny at the end of the race. Toto also has a moment in it. That must have been a bit of a thrill to drop these real life figures into their real life setting, which is the movie that they live on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I got to know all these people. You know, they were so gracious to us. They opened their factories to us. They allowed us to shoot in their simulators, in the wind tunnels. I mean, these are the most secretive places that they don't even allow some of their own employees to see. They allowed us in there to make this movie, all in an effort to help us make an authentic film. And they're just great personalities. I mean, there's a reason why Formula One is so addictive. I mean, the personalities of the real race world are fascinating. And so, yeah, anytime I could convince one of them to play themselves in the film, I took that opportunity, and I thought they were all great at it.
And what did it mean for you? I mean, you're a car guy. You told me you're a car guy.
Oh, definitely.
At your core. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did it all mean to you beyond the production and the movie value of what you do on a daily basis? What did it mean for you personally?
It was really a dream come true. You know, I'm very lucky in that, you know, I get to pick a subject or a topic or a world that I want to know more about. I get to dive into it and learn about it from the inside and try to find a way to capture it in a way that is going to, you know, be an entertaining story on a big screen. And Formula One is a world that, you know, growing up in the United States, I didn't have a lot of exposure to. If I had, I'm sure I would have been a fan much earlier. But, you know, to come at it from an outsider and allow the audience to discover it as I did has been a real honor and a privilege. And I can't wait, you know, to share it with people next weekend when the film opens.
You've done jets, you've done cars now. What's next, Joseph?
It's all about the story. It's you know, I know it feels like I have this obsession with vehicles, but It's all about the, a compelling story, and I'm developing. I've got 3 things I'm working on right now that are all at the script stage, all very exciting, and we'll see which one comes to fruition first. But I think I got to get this movie out, take a little break to kind of recharge, and then I'll dive back in.
Final thing, Jerry Bruckheimer. I mean, what an amazing individual to work with again, right?
Yep. A legend, and for a reason. Inspiring to me. He's been doing this for 50 years now, and on set, again, loves filmmaking, loves working with artists, loves learning about a new world, and bringing it to a wide audience. So I'm very lucky now to have done 2 films with him. He's the best.
Congratulations! Thank you for bringing this movie to the screen. I know what a journey it has been for you, but I know there'll be a lot of very satisfied people in audiences and theaters around the country and the world. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you so much.